My mother-in-law told everyone at my baby shower that I was too old to be a good mother, then offered to adopt my baby when I couldn't handle it. So I did this, and I woke up to 58 missed calls. Am I the idiot for wanting to cut my mother-in-law out of my life after she humiliated me at my baby shower? Throwaway because my husband knows my main account. I, female, 39, am currently 7 months pregnant with my first baby after trying for 3 years with my husband Ben, male, 38. I'm still so upset, and I don't know if I'm being irrational or if this situation is actually as bad as I think it is. Some background. I purposely waited until my late 30s to have a baby because I wanted to be financially stable first. Ben and I met 8 years ago at a charity event for rescue dogs. I've always had rescue dogs and currently have a 10-year-old lab mix named Jasper who is basically my first child. I'm actually kind of worried about how he'll adjust to the baby, but that's a whole other issue. Anyway, Ben is generally a really supportive husband and I love him. But he has one major flaw. He absolutely cannot stand up to his mother Katie, female, 58, like at all. Ever. Katie had Ben when she was only 19 and has basically built her entire identity around being a mother. From the moment we met, she seemed disappointed that Ben was dating an older woman. I was 31 when we met, hardly ancient, and she constantly made little comments about how I must be wanting to have a baby soon and asking when we were going to start trying. Over the years, she's been increasingly passive-aggressive. Some examples. Bringing up my age at every family gathering. You know Isabel is actually closer to my age than to Ben's cousins' ages. Not even true, by the way. Showing me pictures of Ben with his ex-girlfriend who was 7 years younger than me and talking about how young and vibrant she was. Creating an entire nursery at her house without even asking us. She lives 45 minutes away and we've never said anything about the baby staying over there. I've tried really hard to stay on good terms with her for Ben's sake. I even invited her to help plan the baby shower alongside my sister Lucy, which looking back was a huge mistake. So the baby shower happened this past weekend and everything was going okay until I opened a gift, a baby monitor, and casually mentioned being nervous about nighttime feedings as a first-time mom. Katie stood up and made comments about how it's to be expected at my age. I tried to laugh it off and everyone in the room got uncomfortable. But Katie wasn't done. She went on about how women my age don't have energy for babies. My sister Lucy tried to change the subject, but Katie interrupted her and told everyone she's already prepared to take the baby when I can't handle motherhood. No one knew what to say, and Ben, he just sat there, didn't say anything. My mom tried to defend me, but Katie just talked over her and then started showing everyone pictures of the nursery she set up at her house. I cried the whole way home. When I tried to talk to Ben about it, he just said we should let it blow over because that's just how mom is, and I shouldn't take it personally. It's been 3 days and I haven't spoken to Katie, but she sent me like a dozen texts acting like nothing happened. Stuff like, just checking on my grandbaby, and found the cutest onesie today. No apology, nothing. I'm seriously considering cutting her out of my life entirely, at least until after the baby is born. But I'm worried about what that would do to my marriage, and I feel guilty about potentially keeping my child from having a relationship with their grandmother, even though she's honestly awful to me. Am I overreacting because of pregnancy hormones? Is this just normal mother-in-law behavior that I should learn to deal with? Or is she actually being as terrible as I think she is? Edit. To clarify, since a few people have asked, yes, we've had issues with Katie before the pregnancy. When we got engaged, she tried to take over the entire wedding planning and threw a fit when we didn't want to get married in her church. Neither of us is religious. And when we bought our house, she showed up with paint samples and started planning a renovation of our kitchen without asking. So this isn't new behavior, it's just escalated with the pregnancy. Edit 2. Wow, I wasn't expecting so many responses. To answer some common questions. 1. No, Ben hasn't always been this passive with his mom. It's gotten worse over time and much worse since the pregnancy. 2. Katie is divorced from Ben's dad, has been for about 15 years, and I think a lot of her identity issues stem from that. 3. Yes, we've tried talking to her before about boundaries, but she either ignores us or turns on the waterworks and makes Ben feel guilty. 4. For those suggesting couples therapy, we actually started that about a month ago specifically because of issues with Katie, but we've only had 2 sessions so far. Edit 3. Since so many are asking about Ben's reaction after we got home, he did apologize for not standing up for me, But he also said I needed to understand where his mom is coming from because she's just excited about her first grandchild. When I pointed out that her comments about my age were hurtful, he said I was being too sensitive and should just let it go because that's just how she talks. I didn't include this initially because, honestly, it makes him sound worse than he usually is. He's normally very supportive but completely falls apart when it comes to his mother. Now for the first update. First, thanks everyone for all the support on my last post. I honestly wasn't expecting so many responses, and honestly it helped a lot to hear I wasn't overreacting. So much has happened in the last 2 weeks and I don't even know where to start. So after reading all your comments, seriously, there were so many, I decided to have a serious talk with Ben about his mom's behavior. This was like 3 days after the baby shower disaster. We were putting together the baby's crib at the time, which, by the way, took forever because we realized halfway through that we'd been following the instructions upside down. I wish I was kidding. We had pieces everywhere, and I was already frustrated and hormonal and yeah. Anyway, Ben started with his usual, "Mom's just excited," and she doesn't mean it the way it sounds. And she's always been this way. And I lost it. Like, completely lost it. I finally told him about all these other things his mom has done that I haven't even mentioned before. She accidentally threw away my birth plan when she was visiting last month. I found it in the trash under coffee grounds. When I confronted her, she said those things are useless anyway, that doctors know what they're doing. She told Ben's entire family that I'm high risk due to advanced maternal age, even though my doctor has never classified me as high risk. My pregnancy has been completely normal. I overheard her on the phone with her friend calling our baby her do-over baby and saying she wouldn't make the same mistakes this time. Like, what? It's not your baby! I probably should have told Ben about this stuff sooner, but I was trying so hard to keep the peace and not come between him and his mom. But I'm about to have a baby, and I just can't deal with this anymore. So here's where it gets worse. I've actually been documenting Katie's behavior for the past month because it was getting so bizarre and I thought I might need proof someday. Thanks to my sister for suggesting this. I didn't tell Ben about it until our conversation because I didn't want him to think I was being paranoid or something. But I showed him a recording of Katie telling her friend she would be the real mother to the baby because I'd be too old and tired to handle a newborn. She didn't know I could hear her when she was in our guest room. Security camera footage of her going through my medical files when we left her alone in our house for like 20 minutes while we went to pick up takeout. Screenshots of her Googling grandparents' rights and how to get custody from unfit mother. Texts she sent to Ben's sister saying I would probably have complications due to her age and she was preparing to step in. Photos of the freaking nursery she set up at her house that includes a bed for herself so she can take over night feedings when Isabel can't handle it. I think seeing all this evidence finally made something click for Ben. He got really quiet and just stared at the floor for like 10 minutes. Then he said maybe we should talk to his mom about boundaries, but he still seemed really reluctant to actually confront her. Well, we didn't have to wait long because Katie showed up unannounced at our house yesterday with a freaking contract she wrote up about how things would go when the baby arrives. I'm still in shock about this. She came in with this binder labeled Baby Care Plan, and I was curious, so I invited her in. Ben was still at work. She opens this binder and pulls out this typed contract with a spot for signatures at the bottom. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Katie would stay at our house 5 days a week after the baby is born. She would handle all night feedings because Isabel will be too tired at her age. She would be present for all pediatrician appointments. The baby would stay at her house when Isabel needs a break, like she gets to decide when I need a break. She would have final say on feeding schedules, sleep training, etc. There was more, but I was honestly so stunned I couldn't process it all. I asked her if she'd discussed any of this with Ben, and she just waved her hand and said Ben knows she knows best. I tried to stay calm and told her these were decisions for me and Ben to make as parents. She looked me dead in the eyes and told me that at my age, I'd need all the help I could get. I told her she needed to leave and we could discuss this when Ben got home. She refused to leave until I signed her stupid agreement. I called Ben and he said he'd be home in 30 minutes. So I just sat there while Katie kept pushing this contract and telling me how lucky I was to have her help. When Ben got home, he read the contract and his face. I've never seen him look so shocked. Katie immediately complained that I was being difficult about letting her help with her grandbaby. And guys, Ben finally stood up to her. He told her she was massively overstepping and that we would be making all decisions about our baby. He said she needed to respect our boundaries as parents and that her behavior has been inappropriate. Katie burst into tears, of course, and started saying I was turning her son against her and she was just trying to help. And didn't I know that babies need their grandmothers and how she's been looking forward to this for years. She left in tears but has been calling and texting Ben constantly since then. She'll go from apologizing to accusing me of manipulating Ben. And now, Ben's sister called saying Katie has been telling everyone in the family that I'm mentally unstable and trying to keep the baby away from the family. What the actual Ben and I have decided to take a break from Katie until after the baby is born. I'm due in about 6 weeks. But I'm honestly worried about how she's going to behave. She seems to be getting more unhinged. I'm considering showing the evidence I've collected to other family members so they understand we're not just being mean to poor Katie for no reason. I'm also wondering if we need legal advice. Like, do I need a restraining order? Is that extreme? My doctor is already concerned about my blood pressure and has told me I need to reduce stress before the birth. I'm just so tired of all this when I should be excited about meeting my baby. How do I handle this without causing permanent family damage but still protect myself and my baby? Edit. Wow, I'm blown away by all the supportive comments. To answer some questions. 1. Yes, Ben has been going to therapy since shortly after my first post. He's only had 3 sessions so far, but he's starting to understand how messed up his relationship with his mom is. 2. No, I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but based on many comments suggesting this, I'm going to call one tomorrow. 3. Several people asked about our security. We do have cameras at the front door and in our living room, which is how I caught her going through my medical files. We're considering adding more. 4. For those wondering about Ben's dad, they divorced 15 years ago and don't really speak. Ben says his dad always took a back seat in parenting because Katie was so controlling. 5. Yes, I've been saving everything. All texts, voicemails, the recording, the contract, etc. I have it all backed up in multiple places. Edit 2. Someone asked about the baby care plan. Yes, she literally titled it that. And yes, it was typed up like a legal document with whereas and heretofore and all that nonsense. I think she found a template online. There were even consequences listed if we violated the agreement, including that she would be forced to reconsider her financial support. We have never asked for or received financial support from her. Edit 3. To those asking why Ben doesn't just cut her off completely, it's complicated. Despite everything, she's still his mom, and this behavior has gotten significantly worse just since the pregnancy. I think he's hoping once she gets therapy and understands boundaries, they can have some kind of relationship. But he's 100% on my side about taking a break from her until after the baby is born. Now for the second update. So, it's been about 3 weeks since my last post, and I'm now 8.5 months pregnant. Literally could pop any day now, and I'm honestly terrified, but also really excited. Anyway, things with Katie have gotten so much worse that I don't even know where to start. I guess I should say thanks to everyone who commented on my previous posts because, honestly, you all helped me realize I wasn't crazy or hormonal or whatever. Quick update on me first. Everything is going okay with the pregnancy itself besides the usual back pain, swollen everything, and having to pee every 5 minutes. My doctor is still concerned about my blood pressure, but it's been better since we started dealing with the Katie situation more directly. So after the whole baby care plan contract disaster, Ben and I decided to take a break from Katie until after the baby is born. We thought that would be the end of it. LOL, naive us. She started showing up unannounced at our house like every other day. At first, she would ring the doorbell, but when we wouldn't answer, she started peering through our windows. One time I was just sitting on the couch eating ice cream straight from the container. Don't judge, I'm pregnant, and looked up to see her face pressed against the glass. I literally screamed so loud that our neighbor texted to check if I was okay. After that, we installed additional security cameras around the house. We already had one at the front door and in the living room, which is how I caught her going through my medical files that time. Ben actually surprised me with how seriously he took this. He spent an entire weekend setting everything up and making sure they all worked properly. Oh, and my older sister, Lucy, has been staying with us for the past week, supposedly to help prepare for the baby, but really it's because my brother-in-law is renovating their bathroom and the construction noise was driving her crazy lol. But honestly, I'm glad to have her here as backup. Plus she makes these amazing pregnancy-safe smoothies that are literally the only thing that helps with my heartburn. Anyway, back to the Katie situation. Ben has been going to therapy, like actual therapy, not just our couples sessions, to work through his issues with his mother. And honestly, he's made real progress. I'm actually really proud of him. He's finally starting to understand how messed up his relationship with his mom is, and has been setting actual boundaries. Something really interesting happened last week. Ben's dad, who divorced Katie like 15 years ago and rarely speaks to her, reached out to us out of the blue. He wanted to warn us that Katie exhibited this exact same controlling behavior when Ben was born. Apparently, she even tried to prevent Ben's dad from holding his own son because she didn't think he was supporting the baby's head correctly. It was honestly chilling to hear how long this pattern has been going on. So here's where things get really wild. In the past few weeks, Katie has 1. Created a Facebook group called Prayers for Isabel and Baby, where she keeps posting updates implying I'm having serious health problems. I'm not. And asking people to pray for us. My cousin, who I haven't spoken to in years, literally called me in tears thinking I was dying or something. 2. Started sending me daily texts about the dangers of geriatric pregnancy, which by the way is an outdated term that doctors don't even use anymore, with links to horror stories and statistics about complications. I finally just blocked her number. 3. Showed up at my workplace to express concerns to my boss about my health and how I might need extended leave because of my high-risk pregnancy. Again, not high risk according to my actual doctor. Thankfully, my boss is amazing and basically told her to leave before I even knew she was there. 4. Told Ben's extended family members that I'm planning to move across the country after the birth to keep the baby away from her. Completely made up. We have no plans to move. And there's more, but honestly, it's exhausting to even list it all out. We decided to meet with an attorney who specializes in family law. The good news is that grandparents' rights are pretty minimal in our state, basically non-existent unless the parents are deemed unfit or divorce separated. The attorney helped us draft a cease and desist letter to send to Katie. We haven't actually sent it yet because Ben wanted to try one more approach first. More on that in a bit. I've been carefully documenting everything in a journal and saving all texts, voicemails, emails, etc. I'm also keeping track of all the times she's shown up at our house uninvited. Thank God for those security cameras. Our lawyer said documentation is super important in case we need to take more serious legal action in the future. We've also created a detailed birth plan with the hospital that includes a password system for visitors and explicit instructions that Katie is not permitted in the delivery room or to visit without my express permission. The nurses seemed really understanding about the situation. Apparently, they deal with crazy Maels a lot. Yesterday was my baby shower thrown by my colleagues. We decided to do a smaller, more intimate gathering after the disaster of the first shower. It was actually really nice and low-key, just some cupcakes and presents in the conference room after work. But in the middle of opening gifts, I started getting a series of increasingly frantic texts from Ben, who was at his friend Mike's house watching a football game. Ben texted me that his mom had shown up at Mike's looking for him, claiming she had urgent news about the baby. When I asked what news, he said she was telling everyone I was in labor. I was shocked and told him I was fine, just sitting at my shower. I told my friends I needed to step outside to call Ben. He explained that Katie had shown up at Mike's house saying she had urgent news about the baby and told everyone I was in labor. When Ben called her out on the lie, she claimed it was a misunderstanding and she just thought I might be in labor because she had a feeling. Then she demanded to know why she wasn't invited to the second shower, and Ben had to explain it was a work event and he wasn't even invited. She accused me of turning everyone against her, classic, and Ben told her we've actually drafted a legal letter that she needs to respect. She broke down crying, saying she was only trying to help. When Mike asked her to leave because she was disrupting their gathering, she refused and said she needed to fix things with Ben first. When Ben tried to step outside to call me, she grabbed his phone and saw our text conversation. She got really upset, accused us of conspiring against her, and when Mike and his friends suggested she leave, she announced she was coming to my work shower to set things straight. Ben warned me that she might be heading my way, so my sister and friends helped secure the private room we were in, and someone called security just in case. Katie never actually showed up at the shower, thank God. But later that evening, we got an email from her with the subject line, "My rights as a grandmother." The email included links to grandparents' rights websites and a threat to sue for visitation rights after the baby is born. That was the final straw for us. We decided it was time for our most drastic step yet. I spent that night creating a comprehensive PowerPoint. Yes, an actual PowerPoint. I'm a project manager. It's what I do when stressed, lol. With all the evidence I'd been gathering. The next morning, we invited Ben's siblings, his brother Mark and sister Jenna, his father and Katie's sister to our house for what we called an important family meeting about the baby. We intentionally didn't invite Katie. When they all arrived, they seemed confused about why they were there. Ben's sister immediately got defensive when we mentioned we needed to discuss Katie's behavior, saying she was just excited about the baby. I connected my laptop to the TV and started the presentation. I know how ridiculous this sounds, but I swear it actually happened. You should have seen their faces as they watched. The recording of Katie telling her friend she would be the real mother to the baby because I'd be too old and tired. Security footage of her going through our house when we weren't there. Screenshots of her grandparents' rights research. Photos of the nursery she set up, complete with a bed for herself. Her emails to my boss expressing concerns about my health. The baby care plan. Contract she wanted us to sign. Ben explained this was why we've limited contact with Katie. His sister was speechless. First time ever, lol. Katie's sister admitted Katie has always been controlling but means well. Ben's brother suggested Katie might need professional help, which led to a discussion about how to approach her as a united front. In the middle of this conversation, our doorbell started ringing repeatedly. I checked the security camera and saw Katie outside, looking super agitated. Ben asked everyone to stay calm as he answered the door. Katie burst in, saw everyone gathered, and immediately realized what was happening. She started accusing me of turning everyone against her. Again. Ben tried to calmly explain they were concerned about her behavior, but then Katie noticed my laptop connected to the TV and realized we'd shown everyone the evidence. She absolutely lost it. Like full-on breakdown, alternating between screaming and crying. Her sister offered to take her home and suggested therapy, but Katie refused, claimed everyone was against her, and stormed out. We were all pretty stunned. After discussing everything as a family, they finally acknowledged how serious this was. They agreed Katie needed professional help and boundaries. Ben's siblings, who had previously always defended her, finally saw how bad things had gotten and agreed to present a united front. We decided Ben's father would talk to Katie, as she still respected him despite their divorce. I turned off my phone that night because I was emotionally drained and went to bed early on my doctor's advice. The next morning, I woke up to 58 missed calls, 32 from Katie, 10 from Ben's siblings checking in, 8 from concerned friends who had heard from Katie, 5 from Ben's father with updates, and 3 from Katie's sister. Apparently, Ben's father and Katie's sister had taken her to see a therapist, who suggested she might have some serious mental health issues that needed addressing. The therapist recommended family therapy, but also a period of no contact with us until after the baby is born, which Katie reluctantly agreed to after her sister threatened to cut contact as well if she didn't get help. It's been 2 weeks of no contact now, and honestly, my blood pressure has finally stabilized. We're still keeping the hospital password system in place for after the birth, just to be safe. This whole experience has actually strengthened my relationship with Ben. He's finally learned to set boundaries with his mother, which I honestly wasn't sure would ever happen. I'm sad our child won't have an immediate relationship with their grandmother, but I hope that with therapy, Katie might eventually be able to have a healthy, limited relationship with us. I know this was really long, sorry, but I wanted to update everyone who gave me advice and support. Edit. To answer some common questions, no, we haven't dropped the legal stuff. We're keeping the cease and desist letter ready to send if she breaks the no contact agreement. And yes, we've given copies of our evidence to several trusted family members in case she tries to spin the narrative again. Edit 2. Several people have asked about Ben's dad. Yes, he's been amazing through all of this. He's actually coming to visit after the baby is born to help out in a normal, respectful way, lol. We never had a close relationship before, but this has actually brought us together. Edit 3. For those asking about Jasper, my dog, he's doing great. The baby's room has been set up for months, and we've been playing baby sounds and letting him sniff all the baby things to get used to it. My sister has been taking him for extra walks since I can barely waddle to the mailbox these days. Edit 4. Oh my freaking god, I just realized I never mentioned. During our family intervention, we found out Katie had been telling everyone I refused to let her throw me a baby shower. Completely false. She helped plan the first one that was a disaster. Apparently, she'd been collecting money from family members for a surprise shower that was never going to happen. Ben's aunt had given her $200. We made sure everyone knew the truth about that too. Edit 5. Since so many people are asking, yes, I actually made a PowerPoint presentation, complete with title slides and bullet points and everything. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I was so tired of not being believed that I went full project manager mode. And honestly, it worked.